Hi, this is Mark. Congratulations. You have found this amazingly awesome show. Chances are you're listening to it right now on whether it's iTunes or Stitcher Radio or some other mobile app that allows you to stream this amazingly awesome show to your ear holes. And I can't stress how awesomely amazing this show really is. But did you know that you can also catch the latest episode of this show on the Tangibound Network? That's right. Go check out tangiboundnetwork.com. You can look them up and you can listen to it right there. It's even mobile friendly. What more could you ask for? Which means you can pull it up on your iPhone or your Android, even your Windows phone. Yeah, who has one of those? But still, point remains, you can do it. You can do it. Check it out, tangiboundnetwork.com. Listen to this show, the latest episode, every time. Check it out.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Crazy Life. I'm Brian. Joining me is Henno.
Hello.
And, no Jen this week. She's fighting the good fight or something. I don't know. Working, whatever it was.
Good fight every moment. Triumph, yeah.
Wow. Well, for
every minute, every day.
For those playing the Crazy Life bingo game at home, if you had a Triumph reference, you're the big winner tonight.
on the 80s scorecard.
Yeah. That's a tough one to win on because you never know who's going to get pulled there. Oh, man. So first of all, thanks to everybody for listening. Whether you're new or, a return customer, we're happy to have you. And as Jen would say, we appreciate you and various other stuff. So, So here we are. And how was your week, Henno?
Yeah. I feel like that moment where on your other show, which is not safe for work, salty language.
Yep.
After your intro and Tony has to come in with his line and he's got nothing.
Right. Like we're the blankiest podcast on the network. Yeah. Literally, he's the blankiest every once in a while. Was it the last episode or the one before where he just had nothing? It was great. And of course, as consummate professionals that him and I are, we just leave it. We didn't redo it. No, just push forward. Oh man.
Yeah. Actually, it's a kind of a good thing that I really don't have anything like, what makes my week different? Well, not a whole lot really.
Yeah.
Because I've been kind of staying consistent with what I'm doing, that's a good thing.
That's good. Yeah.
Been hitting the gym, got to go skiing last week.
Nice.
Hung out with my buddy Dave. We went up a little later in the day and it was just, I'll just ski more if I got someone to hang out and talk to on the lift and everything. And, even got Christmas cards out early and just, taking care of the business. But I got one thing I broke.
Really, really quick before you get to that.
Yeah.
That stuff is like little win stuff though. You know, because that's
really
the kind
is.
of stuff we've talked about in the past, to where you and I have talked especially about how you'd look at the Christmas cards and be like, I'll mail them tomorrow, or I'll get them next time. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, I need to get these out because Christmas was a week ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it is, and that's why it's like, okay, what's new? And it's like, nothing huge, because even though everything's somewhat mundane, well, old me, those things weren't mundane.
Right.
They were issues.
Yeah, exactly.
They were. No, it's true. It's a great way.
Yep.
Like, I had one night this week. Was it Monday? I don't remember. I came home and I didn't feel particularly tired, but I fell down. Usually when I walk in the house, the dogs are on the bed, and I fell down the bed to scratch them and, give them some love. And I just fell asleep. And I just flat out dozed off, and not very long, just like a minute, because Sharon was in the other room and she's like, "Are you sleeping?" Yeah.
No, your hair's all over the place. No.
Yeah, still in my work clothes, and I got up and I just sat on the couch, and I was just, I had nothing.
Yeah.
I had absolutely nothing, and it was wild. And even she looked at me, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I am really tired." She's like, "You're usually not like this unless you're not feeling well."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, I can't say I'm not feeling, poorly at all. It's just for some reason it's like wham." And then it was like, it sounds like a good night to catch up on Star Wars Rebels.
Nice. Oh, I got to do that too.
It's one of those shows I wanted to actually pay attention, and I tend to multitask in the evenings.
Yeah.
And so and on that night I was like, well, you know what? There's no mood for me to multitask.
Right.
So I'm just going to do this. But yeah, where I was going was I broke down. I bought a microphone.
Aha.
I just didn't even check in with Neil.
That's why,
Went in afterwards, easier to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Yeah. Did he give you forgiveness? No.
No, he was, good friend gives you some encouragement.
Yeah.
And I had justification.
Right.
I have plenty of them.
Yeah.
I have plenty of reasons why.
Oh, sure,
and
yeah.
this and that. And, here, it was great. Here's what your friend says. It's like, well, that's your Christmas and your birthday present to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
On January 1st, get back on track.
Right.
And that was it. And it's like, thank you. And I did. And, I sat there and was like, because it actually, one of the things I said is, if I need something, I'll get it when I need it. And I did sit down to play some music and I record some music. And I was like, wait, I sold all the microphones I would usually do this. Why did I do that? And I was like, and then, I was like, and I'd already been doing put it in the shopping cart, delete it, put it in the shopping cart, delete it with multiple things. And finally it was like, wow, this is really, it's not just about a good deal, but I'm like, this is actually a very useful tool. What it is. And for me, it's it has a lot of different purposes and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And one of the things is 48 months financing, interest free. That comes to $36 a month, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying not to have the little extra bucks a month or whatever it is.
Sure. Yeah.
And then today I came up with my final justification, which is I am no longer driving a ginormous diesel guzzling, vehicle.
Right.
I do I get double the mileage I did before, and gas is cheaper than diesel, and I'm still taking the bus one day a week or two if I can.
Yeah.
And I was like, thanks, Neil. That's going to be my Christmas present and my birthday present to myself.
There you go. Yep.
And get back on track. And actually it's funny how I had stopped listing stuff on eBay, and one of the things I started doing last week is getting a jump start on my taxes, because I decided I'm going to close my quote unquote business down.
Yeah.
All this, any money I make on gigs or any related stuff, consulting with podcasts, whatever it is that I've made some money, it's like I've had a business for 5 years, and I claim it, and I have write-offs, and I do all that. But it's, I haven't been playing live. There's no reason for me to do that anymore. And one of the things I was looking at as well, all right, next year, Sharon and I are going to come to the decision. Okay, do we file together, married, or separately?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that decision is going to be a lot easier to make if I'm not filing other schedules and blah blah blah. So I'm like, let's close the business officially December 31st, 2016. Done.
Right.
And that way I don't have to do anything next year.
Right. And it's not like it's horribly difficult to get another business license or, whatever you need to do.
Oh, it's so easy.
I was like, I remember like when we had our comic shop, we walked in and we're like, hey, we need a business license. They're like, fill out like a form or something. And then that was pretty much it, pay us whatever it was, $30, $25, whatever it was. And, done. Yeah. And here, they're good for like ever now. I don't know if you have to renew yours yearly or not, but
at all. No, we don't.
We don't either.
Deal. Yeah.
When we first got it, we had to, but then they switched it over and we didn't have to go like renew it to do it. They switched the law like as we were already open, so we never had to renew it. And they were like, yeah, it's good forever. And I was like, okay. But when we went out of business, we closed it because otherwise, the IRS is like, hey, where's our money? you know, like your business is still open. So,
and you have to let them know what, and so, I'm going through everything and I have to convert everything to personal use. And so it got me back into like, okay, let's keep doing what I have been doing. And this has actually felt really good, which is getting rid of the clutter, getting rid of things I don't need. And it's something that I'm also doing something for my partner because Sharon really likes, she was joking with me. She's like, going to your house at Thanksgiving reminds me or lets me know where you got the way you are. Like she walks through my parents' house and every shelf has got stuff on it.
Yeah.
There are no empty shelves.
Yeah.
And that's how I grew up.
Me too. Yeah.
That's how I look. There's knickknacks everywhere. There's stuff.
I got
everywhere.
Stuff everywhere too. Yep.
Yeah, and she grew up not like that. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more open space and stuff, and it's like, and so I moved some things because of the window's we're gonna put it off till January now, but I moved stuff out of the living room, prepping for it, and I'm like, you know what, this extra space does feel kind of good.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well let's keep evaluating and simplify and justify.
Right.
So yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
How about you?
It's been really, again, it's the way I've been lately. It's so weird how I've been having like really up and down weeks. Like I had brutal headache yesterday, and it wasn't just that. It was a bad depression day too. Like I woke up at like noon, and I was just like, no. And just turned back over. And I didn't have a headache at that point, and it came on a little bit later, which, that never helps, because when you get really bad headaches, you don't feel like getting out of bed, no matter what your headaches are. And mine was a migraine, but it's like, even if it's not a migraine, you have a bad headache, you just don't feel like doing stuff, and so it feeds into that, and, then like today I had to get up because I had sold something on eBay. It was over in my storage. And, so I had to go over to my storage, which, my timing's awesome because it's like brutally cold for us out, and like there's a, pretty bad wind chill. It's single digit or no, I think it was just into the teens or whatever. I'm sorry. It was a little warmer, but just, it's one of those days where it doesn't take very long to just really get you. And, and I need to go to the store to get some stuff. So, which is good. I'm glad that happened today because it forced me out of the house, after a day like yesterday where all I wanted to do was just lay in bed. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go do anything. So, that was good. It is nice when you have stuff like that, like commitments or something where you kind of have to go do something. Now, can't always do that. There's some times where today would have been like, another nope day. Just, but I'm glad I was able to, I'm glad that the depression was just a bad day, not a bad week, So that's a, a small, one of the small wins I had this week. Yeah. It's actually a pretty big one. It's,
It actually is.
Yeah. The other one is.
Yeah, that's almost like normal.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Slow down. Like, let's not throw that around. No.
That word, yeah.
Yeah. the other is, I mentioned last week that I had my antidepressant increased, and that was interesting. Like no mania this time. Like I don't know if you remember when I first went on this, I was having mania type things. Nothing like that this time. No real like. It's weird because I've got a little more energy, but not a ton. I'm also on vitamin D now too. So what's the best part is that I'm finding myself getting tired a little more normally. It's still really late. Yeah. Like, it's still not like, 10 o'clock at night or something. But there's been a couple of nights over the last week where I've been asleep by like 12:30, which for me is massive, because it's not normal for me. So what I've been doing is on the days where, I'll be sitting there playing a game on my iPad or reading comics or something, and if I start feeling that way, I'm like, I grab my sleep mask and immediately just lay down, because it's like, if I'm feeling tired, I'm going to try to go to sleep. And, I've had a couple of nights where I've gotten like actual, 6 hours consistent sleep, which is again, huge for me, cause I tend to sleep about 2 hours at a time. So that, that's been pretty good too. But, I've noticed that, overall my mood's been kind of and I think some of that has to do with the weather too, because it's been kind of gloomy and cold, and that never helps. But it is interesting. Again, I can feel the floor. I feel a little bit better since this dose has gone up. So I definitely, again, it feels like it's a step the right way. So that's pretty awesome.
That really is. And like that whole idea of being able to just get natural sleep, or even the feeling of it. Yeah. That's a big deal.
It is. The feeling is the bigger part. Cause you know what? Yes. If I sleep 2 hours at a time, but I wake up and, like you take a nap that's an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, all right, let's get it, and there's been days where I've done that. I'll fall asleep, wake up 2 hours later, and I'm like, let's go. I'll have all the energy in the world, and, but a lot of the times it's not really restful, in that 2 hours. And it's just cause you never really fall into that deep sleep, So yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been an interesting situation, but it feels like I'm feeling a little better, which is awesome, so, and, I only got a few more weeks until I can go back to therapy. So actually, I should call and schedule that now. I didn't think about that. I was like, I should call and schedule that because, a lot of times with my therapist, it's tough to get in just out of the blue. Yeah. So I don't know. Something else that's interesting is in the same time, my doctor switched my cholesterol medicine too. And I don't know if you've been on a cholesterol medicine, but they some of them can make you just feel like, groggy. Like you're just, they muddle your brain kind of a thing. Like, and you become like, it's really pretty common for people to feel really forgetful when they're on them, and which is so weird. It's like, it's a cholesterol medicine, it's, and then you're getting like, mental effects off of it, which is weird. But anyway, he switched that, so that may play into it as well.
It's true. Yeah.
Maybe I'm on one my body processes in a better way than the others. I don't know. So whatever it is, I'm cool with it, and I'm just, I'm going to ride it, and hopefully days like, it'll go more like this to where, if I do have a day like yesterday, that I have a day like today to where I'm able to get up and function without, just get up and function. Just, not want to just lie there again. So.
And what I think is great too is to have that desire to get up and do it, even though you don't necessarily feel 100%.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is a victory.
That's old me, like, cause I was brought up with, like the work ethic of unless you're dying, and even then you go to work, basically. Like my dad never missed work. I mean, he had to be like literally couldn't get out of bed, because he was just, violently ill, basically, like almost before he would quit work or not go in. So that's kind of what I was raised on, is you don't miss work. And, you know, cause my dad was always well, if you have a headache at home, you'll have a headache at work. So you might as well go to work, you know? And so, you know, so I did. That's what I mean, you know, I worked in retail for about 10 years. I missed 2 days of work, you know, and both were to food poisoning. So
that's pretty legit,
right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't like, oh, I have a man cold and missed a week or something. I was literally couldn't leave the house. So, you know,
and that's, you know, to me, those are subtle attitude differences.
Yeah.
You know, versus where you're just perpetually crushed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I'm not 100%. I'm only maybe 60% today, but I've got 40 I could work with.
Yeah.
You know, I can get past it. I can, you know, get up and go. And
yeah. Cause even at 60%, you know, you can still do a lot of stuff, you know, like even if you got up at 60% and you just limited, like you're like, I don't have the energy to do this or this today, but I can do this, this, and this, you know, and that's essentially what, you know, my therapist told me anyway, which is when you get up, you know, you make your to-do list and put little stuff on there so that, you know, you accomplish some stuff that day, you know, and, you know, and then maybe put one or two bigger items on there that are like the, you know, the big deal for the day or whatever. And if you get that done, awesome. If you don't, you know, you put it on tomorrow's or whatever, you know, so.
That's kind of what I've been doing lately.
Yeah.
Is I've been giving myself little goals to do and then feel good.
Yeah.
When, you know, even if I don't get to a big one, that it's not, I'm not beating myself up, or I don't get so far behind that it becomes overwhelming again.
Yep. And that's really what it is the mentality of it is, you know, whenever you complete something, your brain gives you, you know, a treat because you get endorphins from, you know, you get that from completing a task because you're like, all right, you know, like I bet, you know, getting those Christmas cards out, you were like, yeah, I'm on top of this, right? You know,
exactly.
If you, like you were talking about with your taxes, if you get that ready to go to where when you get your stuff from work and you're just like, boom, that's out of here. And you're like, done. Feeling great because you're way ahead of the curve. You're not waiting until the last second or, you know, so that's why she was, you know, and the other reason is because those little releases of endorphins and stuff, you know, obviously improve your mood and, you know, so it's, if you can get that. Plus, you know, it's like always have like maybe a bigger goal you're working to, even if you're not moving, you know, baby stepping your way there, but always have that bigger goal, but also have very achievable things in front of you, you know. So it's, so overall, I think we did pretty well this week. I think overall it was a good week. So, you know, or a good enough week, whichever. And good enough it's
good enough. I'll take it.
Yeah, right. I'm the same way. There's so many weeks where I'm like, oh man, you know, like good enough would be like climbing Mount Everest. So happy-ish, right?
Happy-ish.
Happy-ish.
There you have it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So before we get into kind of what we're going to talk about here, I want to bring up something which I thought was, it's essentially awesome, but stay with me. It's not going to sound awesome at first. This week on Twitter, there's, the one night I jump on and I see some people posting like, hey, does anyone know this person? You know, I'm not going to give a name out, but, you know, and they're like, does anyone know this person? Because they posted some really like stuff was posted like, I'm going to take all the pills in my house kind of stuff, you know? And so people who follow them are like, does anyone know them? Because can you contact them, make sure they're okay or go, you know, whatever. And, people could not get them to respond to them. You know, couldn't get this person to respond to him. And one of their followers contacted Twitter, like reported the post as, you know, potentially self-harming. Because as I mentioned, I don't know if you remember, I brought it up on the show before that Twitter, Facebook, and I think Instagram now all have a thing to where you can report a post and in the choices for why you're reporting it, you can put, I think they may harm themselves basically.
Okay.
And anyway,
wow, that's a big deal.
Someone used that, and through Twitter, it contacted the police in her area, and they got things sorted out. And luckily, she didn't do anything, but hopefully they're kind of getting her the help she needed that night. I just wanted to bring this up as a reminder to anybody: if you see posts like that, reach out to the person. If they don't call, get back, maybe do something along these lines, and this is proof that can work, that this is another tool now that people who are concerned about others have in their toolbox to be of service to somebody else and to maybe help them and from making a decision that they don't really want to make, So, yeah.
That's a big thing. I didn't even.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that you could have that option.
Yeah, they've put it in over the last few months, and when I first read about it, I was like, "This is so smart," because they can contact people, because Twitter can say this person lives in this area. Like, even if you don't publish it, they can, they can find out where essentially you're from. So, whereas you can't do that, like if someone doesn't have it listed where they're from.
Yeah.
You're out of luck. And a lot of people on Twitter or whatever these places, you may not know the person's full name, so you're really out of luck, because, like me, my name's Brian. It's like, okay, find somebody around here named Brian. Good luck, So, but yeah, anyway, I just wanted to make everybody aware of that again, it's an awesome tool. So if you see someone, doing something like that and you're concerned, like I said, reach out first, see if you can get a hold of them. If not, that's always an option too. Don't overuse it, of course, but yeah. I'm glad that it turned out well enough. Like they ended up getting, going to the hospital and getting some help and stuff. So I'm glad.
Wow.
It turned out that way and not, the worst way.
So and Facebook has that too?
Yeah. It's like if you were going to report a post,
yeah,
for being like you would normally, like in the past, you would have like for being offensive or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you click it, and I can't remember the next step, but it then like a drop down or something I think comes up or whatever, and one of the choices is like I think they may harm themselves or others, I think, or something like that. You could also use it if you see someone posting threatening stuff like
things,
like I'm gonna go shoot up a place or something. You can do the exact same thing, and they can report that to the police. Deal. Yeah. So it is there for that also. If but either way, it's a great service, and a lot of people, really bag on social media and they're fake friends and blah blah. I'll tell you what, I saw so many people post, does anyone know this person? We're really concerned. And most of these people do not know the person. A lot of them didn't even have any interactions. They were just like, hey, we don't want someone to kill themselves, Yeah. So kudos to the people involved and Twitter for doing that and stuff. That's a step the right way for sure. That's so awesome.
That actually kind of slides into the topic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I stumbled on this piece through another podcast I listened to. They're a pure politics podcast, and the very, very left leaning, and for some reason we have a mutual friend on Facebook, and that's how I even heard about the podcast to begin with.
Okay.
And I imagine, it's not everyone's bag, so I don't really exactly promote it.
Sure. Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
But for some reason, I just really connected with at least one of the hosts. There's just something about her that I connect to her, and she had put this post up that I followed, and it was about compassion, and it had to do with obviously politics, because that's their focus. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to read some of this.
That's it's incredibly relevant right now, because people have got a really strong, bad taste in their mouth, one way or the other. Even if you were, if you were for Trump, a lot of those people have a bad taste in their mouth because of how, they see the other side behaving and vice versa. So,
yeah,
it's very relevant.
Yeah. And I've expressed my disillusion on a number of occasions because what this talks about is something that I've been striving for, and I've I know I've talked about it with you, where I question why I do this.
Yeah.
I question why do I have compassion for other people that I don't even know. And that I've found the place where I can relate to people, and it's just like, well, geez, you guys didn't even help yourselves. Why?
Yeah.
Why do I have compassion with you? I don't lose out on the situation, and
Yep.
and I really needed to hear this, and it has some this has some jargon in it, as my ex used to talk about therapy, why she didn't like it because of all the jargon.
Yeah.
And I kind of laugh at it because it's like, no, I totally get that. It's those buzzwords, those phrases. And now for me, I actually like those things.
Yeah, I know. I totally, as soon as you started down that road, I knew right where you were going with it because, we've talked about it before.
So there's a couple things in here, and that's actually what I'm really interested in, are those things. And so it says, I've started doing some guided compassion meditations. Now, my teacher and I had a great conversation about compassion versus loving kindness. And she talked to me about creating space for my sadness and about recognizing my kinship with others who are suffering. Compassion means feeling with. In other words, you are acknowledging and holding space for the difficult feelings you share with others. The teacher who created the guided meditation and talk I listened to last night made some really valuable points. The enemies of compassion are the natural impulse to fix it or a shutting down, closing your heart because you are too overwhelmed by the amount of suffering in the world. I can see in our current climate that it would be easy to use either impulse to try to make one's own suffering less. I do not wish to do either. I am interested in seeing where I connect with others. Yes, I can see that the fix-it impulse is huge. Like most, I want to see things change for what I imagine to be the better. However, contributing energy and money to make things better is very different from feeling like I alone must fix it. In concert with others, I will work as I can to address the suffering and division that has arisen, or perhaps has just been uncovered in our nation. I can't fix it myself. There's so much pain in the nation and the world right now that I can also easily see the inclination to shut things out, shut suffering off, to be numb. We must recognize we're on this planet for the long haul, and we must pace ourselves. Do not become numb or overwhelmed in the face of suffering. Instead, use your energy gently and persistently and give yourself a rest when you are tired. Take a time out, but don't take a pass. There are some phrases that really struck me while meditating last night. Compassion for others. Quote, unquote, I care about your suffering. Compassion for self. Quote, oh, honey, this is really hard, unquote. I share this not just for those who share my politics. I know that my friends who feel like they won the election are suffering too. They have lost friends, and they're not entirely comfortable with everything that has happened. In fact, I sense some confusion and loss when they are faced with some of the terrible racist or prejudiced events that have occurred since the election. I care about all of our suffering, not to be overwhelmed or to wallow in it, but to acknowledge that this is something we all share. And we'll post the link to this. And this goes straight to where I just felt like shutting off.
Yeah, I did too. And in all honesty, I did shut off. Like after the election was over, and it wasn't because of my view on the election. It was just, I was done. Like I was emotionally just done with it, and I was tired of hearing people yell at each other, like after reading this, I was kind of thinking about how I did that, and it's like, although I needed to take a step back because I needed to recharge myself about things because it was grueling for everybody. I don't care which side of the fence you were on in this. It was a rough year to go through that whole process for all of us. And, I needed to take a step back because if I didn't, as we've talked before, recharge or you can't be of service essentially. But I was like, I was kind of shutting off other people's feelings at that point. like people were expressing their feelings and I was just like, don't want to hear it, you know?
Yeah.
So, and in fairness, I've made comments that I've done this also as a person with depression, to when other people with depression open up to me, I kind of have a limit. Like, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't take yours on too. And that's a really tough road for me because I want to. And those who know me know I feel for other people. Like I feel their plight and stuff, you know, when, you know, I just don't, I just can't, you know, and when I hit my fill, I realize that I kind of become a jerk sometimes and I just shut it all down, you know, and this kind of points that, you know, it's like, hey, don't go down that road. It's like, you know, like you said, it's like take a break, but don't take a pass. And I realized that I'm taking a pass, or was. I've been trying, like you said, I'm same as you, you know, trying to get better about these things. And I realized how much of a pass I was taking at times when people were, you know, and obviously there's going to be people who are just like anything, sore winners, sore losers. Those are the ones I kind of want to, you know, you throw that out a little bit. But there's people who make legitimate points both ways. You know, like whether you're afraid of the years coming and what may happen because of blank political leaning, or you were hurt because people were calling you a racist because you identified with Trump or whatever, you know, and, you know, both are valid. They're both feelings, as Jen said countless times, you know, your feelings are valid. And for somebody to just kind of shut you down it's a pretty jerky move.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, sometimes as a person, that's all you feel you can do, you know, but yeah, so there you go.
And that's, I'm completely with you where it's like, I stopped for a while because it was something that we were all very much involved with. Yeah. It's worth being involved with this. You know, some people I hear people get worked up about it, and I go, no, this is the time where we're supposed to be involved. This is a big deal. This is part of who we are as a country. Mm-hmm. It's worth it. It's worth it for ourselves to participate and be part of this process. And I think a lot of the reasons, but then you can stop. You don't need to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. But I found myself really, you know, like it talks about people losing friends. I started taking a look at some of the people that are around my life. Yeah. And usually not necessarily, they're not directly, because people that I'm close with, I share.
That's pretty typical. Yeah. Usually the people you're closest with tend to reflect your viewpoints.
Values.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I do have ancillary groups and friends that I hang out with. Mm-hmm. And some of those I'm actually going to make some decisions.
Right.
And part of it is because of this, because I do, part of being a recovering alcoholic is this idea that I don't get to keep it unless I give it away. And that there is no limit to that. Mm. I must do this or and we use real strong words like, or we will die. Yeah. Because that's what happens if I go back into resentment, if I go back into those ill feelings, that brings me closer to taking a drink again. Yeah, if I drink, I will die. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to just go have a couple cocktails. I'm going to put down a couple of handles. Exactly. That's just a fact.
Right.
And I could end up out in the snow and my body temperature drops and I could be dead. Yeah. It's happened. Yep. It's literally happened in my town. So yes, it's very dramatic, but it's the truth. There's a reading that I love where it tells me it's my prerogative, meaning I have a choice, right, and it's my responsibility to act appropriately. And part of that is this, there's a buzzword in here that I never understood, and it's to hold space. And it's a term that some of my friends who practice Buddhism, I would hear them use. And they used it with regard to their family, their friends, whatever it was. And I never understood what it meant. And I want to share it because it's something that helps with compassion if we learn what it means to hold space for someone else. And I found a great, another great article about it, and it says, what does it mean to hold space for someone else? It means that we are willing to walk alongside another person in whatever journey they're on without judging them, making them feel inadequate, trying to fix them, or trying to impact the outcome. When we hold space for other people, we open our hearts, offer unconditional support, and let go of judgment and control. Sometimes we find ourselves holding space for people while they hold space for others. And that could be like, you're holding space for your mother and your mother's dealing with, an ill family member or something like that. And everyone's kind of holding space for each other.
Yeah.
Even the strongest leaders, coaches, nurses, etc., need to know that there are some people with whom they can be vulnerable and weak without fear of being judged. And it goes on with 8 tips to help you hold space for others. And if you're interested, we'll pass this along and you can look it up. But that is really it really sums up. And I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't know that what I was doing was holding space.
Yeah.
But it is how I've changed as a person, and it's really been a lot in the last 5 years where I have opened myself to the non-judgmental support of others, where, I listen to what you're saying and I believe you that this is how you feel. And it comes back to where you talk about that thing about that judgment over, you got up at 2 p.m. and someone makes that snide comment, and like, why don't you just get up,
right.
or whatever that is. And it's like, I was that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy anymore.
You know what's funny? I've been that guy. You know what I mean? Like, like somebody will be like, like, I don't know why this person does whatever. And I'm like, yeah, why don't they just this before? And then it's like, first of all, distorted thinking worksheet. Always got to be right.
Exactly.
Second of all, changing others. That's no bueno either. So we've talked about that in the past. And, and like I said, and then third, it's like, hey, dummy. When people do this to you, you get really upset and hurt by this. Why are you doing this? If you don't like someone doing it, why are you doing it? Don't put that out there. So yeah, I've tried really hard to get better about that because like I've said before, though, one of the hardest things for me to get over has been the need to be right, because of the control factor of it, Yeah.
And I've shared many stories that have been shared with me that I get inspiration from. And once again, I didn't know that somebody was holding space for them. I shared, I don't know if it was last week or the week before on this podcast about that person who had an alcoholic, I don't know if they were married or just boyfriend, girlfriend at the time, but, live-in partner, and that she just kept drinking. It's like, why? Why are you with her? And, and his whole thing. And what he was doing was holding space. The idea that it's not, I don't decide when the miracle happens. And it talks about staying out of trying to fix it, staying out of outcomes. That he said, I'm just a witness to the miracle when it does happen. Yeah. That was holding space. That is about compassion.
Yeah.
That is about, being an open vessel. It's not closing it. And yes, people do fill up too much to the point of overflowing.
Yeah.
I imagine that even the most unbelievably compassionate human beings in the world that are doing it on a daily basis, at some point, close their eyes and go, whew, I don't know how much more of this I can do right now.
Right. Yeah. It's like, no matter who the person is, and, Gandhi or something like, or Mother Teresa, whatever, whoever you want to use as your example. How many sick kids can you see before you're like, oh man, I can't, like, all right, I got to step back for a minute, And it isn't like when those cases, like it's the goal is, like you said, it's like not to shut it off and go, I can't handle this anymore. I can't deal with the fact that there's hungry kids or whatever out there. It's like, no, you just need to take a break. Like maybe I'm not going to visit with as many today, or I'm going to, take a step back, recharge a little bit, and then, get back after the fight. And it is tough. There's so many things we all do it. We all see, something and we take on, we take on trying to change the outcome. And whether it's good or bad, you could, to a fault, it could be, a good or a bad trait, really. And it could be both at the same time, good intentions, but, like you said, going to your friend and saying, why are you still with her? Your intention is pure. You want to help him because you see it as a toxic environment, but at the same time, he's not receiving it as positive. He's seeing it as you're meddling, or you're trying to
fix him.
Yeah. Or you're trying to force him to give up on her, or, and it's, it's tough to be that. It's interesting. You play a game like chess or any strategy type game, you tend to try to assume what your opponent's doing, and then plan ahead of that, right?
Yep.
But when you do that in life, you end up being wrong so many times. In games, you can be right, or increase your percentage that you're correct, at least,
Mm-hmm.
But in life, when you do that to people, you tend to pigeonhole them a lot of times, and then a lot of times you end up getting the opposite result of what you expect, like, well, if I speak up, I'll open his eyes, and then he's like, listen, if you're going to be like that, I don't need you as a friend. And you're like, wait, that isn't what I was trying to do.
Yeah. And that is a great example. And we have these all the time when we're friends with a couple and there's something going on with that couple. That is literally that holding space for someone else that's holding space for someone else.
Yeah.
It's a great example of it. And I know in my own life, I had a friend, very, 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 someone very close to me who was in a relationship that none of us understood.
Yeah.
We were like, wow, she has changed so much and she's so different. And we kind of wanted to fix it, but there was really no way to fix it. We were very much judging.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is it wasn't until I went to their wedding and I watched them together and I was part of this ceremony, and I've allowed myself to see truly what brings them together, that I realized that it was that judgment that clouded my vision of seeing, the beauty that there was there.
Yeah.
I saw everything that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than, and it came from a selfish point of view and a point where I wanted to fix somebody who didn't necessarily need to be fixed.
Yeah.
I just needed a little change of perspective. And that is where I want to continue to be open to that. Part of the one thing that also jumps in my head is, when you're talking about like a Mother Teresa or someone, it's like that is a person that could get, if you're constantly treating the wounded of a war, you can get really angry at the war.
Yeah.
And MASH was a great example of that.
Yeah.
And that was Hawkeye Pierce.
Yeah. He was always mad at the war. Yep.
And he'd jump in the Jeep and he'd head down. Remember we went to the peace talks and he was like, cause he couldn't keep treating the wounded.
Yeah.
He wanted to find the bigger cause. He wanted to see an end to it.
Right.
And I think people that just like, Mother Teresa just continues to treat the wounded.
Mm-hmm.
And just, this is where I'm most effective.
Right.
I will do what I can.
I was watching a few nights ago, CNN had a thing on that's called like CNN Heroes or something like that. And they do it every year, and they get people who have started foundations, or people who do good, basically. And then they honor them, and they give that person, like, I forgot how many they did, if it was 5 or if it was 10. And each person that they honored got like 10 grand toward their charity. And then at the end of the night, people at home got to vote, and one person got 100,000 on top of it.
Wow.
Which is awesome, and the whole thing was so weird to watch because it's so positive. Every bit of it was like, a guy, with like a ranch that helped or that allowed like disabled kids or poor kids or whatever to ride horses and just have a good time with them. One guy did it, one guy works with, does like physical therapy and stuff for like to help people who are disabled to be more active. Just everything they did was just, one woman was helping girls in, a low income area. It's just, all of it was just positive and good, stuff. Watching that across the night, it was amazing how by the end of it, you just have this feeling in you and you're just like, this is right. This is how you make your change in the world, and the one woman, actually, when she gave her speech, she made a comment that, or a guy, I'm sorry, something about like, don't worry about changing the world, just change your world. And I was like, and not as much with people, in relationships and trying to switch that stuff around. But, if you want to make these compassionate changes in your life, don't worry about the number of how many kids go to bed hungry every night. Worry about what you can do. Can you help? Can you raise money? Can you get out there and, get food from places to, do those. Worry about that. Cause again, as we talked about so many times in here, that's what you can control. You can't control. There's going to be kids going to bed hungry every night. It's terrible. It's sad. None of us want it, but there it is, but if you want to do something about it, you can. But don't try to take on the big fight, because the big fight's going to be a hard one to win, and you're going to find resistance. If you change little steps and move that way, along the way, doors open and, stuff like that. That's what I was getting from a lot of these people, is they started really small. Like, what can I do with what limited resources I have,
Yeah.
And then it just, some of them grew and grew, and, it's, it's really inspiring to watch that kind of stuff, because, there really is. Every one of us could do more to be more compassionate to people. And it doesn't have to be raising money or whatever else,
No, it can be very simple.
Yeah.
And like I where I found myself in is the trap of judging those that don't do as I do,
yes.
which is just so arrogant. and it reminds me of, and it's somebody that I know that was just so huge into the environmental movement. And at first was was up on the soapbox, preaching to everybody, wanting everybody else in her life to do as she does. And all it did was make everyone just push away.
Yeah.
So she changed her tack. She decided, I'm going to do what I can do for myself. And it comes back to one of my favorite phrases in my recovery program. It's attraction, not promotion.
Yep.
And that fight, I'm not going to convince somebody that they should be more compassionate to people. And especially if there's politics involved.
Yep.
I'm not going to do it. All I can do is do my part for myself. And yeah, it's fun to, zing somebody and have some people come pat you on the back and say, yeah, that was great. But in reality, is that really the place to put the energy?
And I think I mentioned that a few weeks ago. We were talking about that a little bit, and I was like, it's just not worth it to me, because so many times you don't actually make a change. Even like, you just argue with people and neither person budges. And at the end of it, you've both just gotten riled up and wasted all that energy that you could have done something else. Again, I just gave a great example a few minutes ago. We got kids going to bed every night with no supper. It's like, put your anger there. If we all did that, if we all put our anger into stuff like that would disappear or significantly be reduced, and as humans, we've proven that whenever we as a whole go, hey, that's not right, let's get rid of that, it goes away for the most part. Some diseases aside, of course, but we tend to, as a society, if we can kind of focus our energies the right way, we can actually do a lot of really compassionate and good things for people, so I'd just rather see people put it that way, but you're right, it is so easy to do, especially in politics where you're, trying to zing someone or get that pat on the back, because, you're right, it does. Who doesn't like to, to get, a bunch of likes on a comment because like, hi, I got you. It's like,
because you get to feel a little bit superior to your fellow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Your fellows. And we all like that. part of it's it's one of my character defects.
Yeah.
I have having a little bit of a superiority complex, but I'm working on it.
Do you know who I am?
I really don't want to. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it for me started with just opening myself up to the possibility that I could be more understanding and less judgmental. And a lot of that was it was a big transition for me to walk away from, and talk about, all the things on the distorted thinking list, objectifying people, putting them in categories, making them not human beings anymore.
Yeah, really.
Putting a label on them, whatever it was. And now I understand that that's part of holding space for people.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just had I ran into my buddy Dave. We're at the gym, and he's, his kids are both, college age and moving on.
Mm-hmm.
They're done. They're done with school. They're getting on with their lives. And he was sharing with me about that idea of, as a parent, how he did those things that we do when we're growing up. We're going, when I'm in high school, I will. When I'm 16, I will. When I'm 18, I will. All those things, and you're never living in the moment. And he thought about those same things. When my kids get to this age, when they get to this age, when they get to this age, and now he's like, okay, whoa, they're gone.
Yeah.
Did I do a good job? And I saw that in his face. He has that doubt. And, he even tells me, he's like, I check in with my daughter. I send her a text message, and he's like, I know I don't need to, but sometimes I just need to hear her say it, you did good, Dad, that kind of thing.
Right. And
so I shared with Dave what I shared with you guys a while ago about my, the whole shame about my parents in the bay window, and about how I fell down, they picked me up. I fell down, they picked me up. I fell down, they picked me up. And guess what? Tomorrow, if I fall down, they're going to pick me up.
Yeah.
And Dave looked at me, and he just had this like little light bulb went off, and he just said thanks, and he walked off the shower and said, "Yeah, I got something to think about." And that's the part where, we all want to say, why do you let that person, there is the difference between, getting taken advantage of and having compassion for someone as they struggle through their life.
Yeah.
With whatever it is. And that's what my parents have done for me.
Yeah.
And, I'd like to be able to do that for other people too. And I don't have to, it's one thing is like, I don't have to take on someone's struggle,
mm-hmm.
but I definitely don't need to judge them for their struggle. I don't need to put them down.
Yeah. I mean, because I mean, if for no other reason, it's, we just never know when that could be us. And, what would we want in that situation? Would you want people to ignore you and try to tell you how wrong you are and all this? Or would you want people to show compassion to you and say, hey, I'm here for you if if you need anything, and that's, like I made that comment about that TV show, You're the Worst, when the guy stays with his girlfriend and she's going through a really bad bout of depression, and, she wakes up and sees him and she's like, you stayed. And it's like, exactly. That's exactly the thing is, just being that person, no judgment. I'm here for you, whatever you need from me, kind of a situation is, don't get me wrong. It is really hard to essentially, bear yourself to someone like that, because you really are giving them an opportunity to spit on you, but at the same time, it's, it's kind of like, a lot of times people have issues with, like helping someone financially or something, because, they're just taking advantage of you, like we were talking about. And, and unfortunately, that is a very fine line. There are a lot of people who will take advantage of things. But, the way I always looked at it in my head was kind of like, if I'm just going to put the good energy out there. Whatever they do with that money, they feel that's the right decision at the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's lines like, I wouldn't give money to certain, if I know that it's going to get spent on drugs or something, I'm not going to help somebody buy drugs, if I know,
and you don't have to.
Yeah. And, but it's the idea of, if someone says, hey man, can I borrow $5 cause I'm really hungry? If I got the money, I'll probably just hand it to them, because you know what? I'd rather go, you know what? I gave it to them. And if they don't use it on food, it's like, I don't know. There's nothing I can do about that, you know? And I understand there's various arguments and stuff. I just was always kind of raised to put the good energy out there, you know, and just try to do right. Like, you know, I was told so many times growing up, you know, you can never do wrong by doing right, which we've kind of, you know, debunked a bit here, but, you know, it's just the idea of there's so many times that just being compassionate doesn't take anything other than just like you're there anyway, you know, like you're hanging out with a friend. And the difference between being compassionate and being right is simply just you slightly switching your attitude. That's it. It doesn't cost you any extra time, no money. You know, it could just, that's it. Instead of sitting there telling them how wrong they are, just sit there and tell them how you're there for them if they need you, you know, and then so many times that would make a huge difference to people. And sometimes you may get your result because by doing that, maybe they'll be more accepting of the situation, and, you know, like, you know, that's good to know. And then maybe they'll call you and be like, hey, I have to get out of this situation. You know, I need your help, you know, and
it's that bit, you know, listening, trying, you know, stay out of fixing, also but stay out of, you know, that apathy too, of just shutting down.
Yeah.
You don't have to give money to people.
Yeah.
You don't have to bring somebody into your home. You don't have to do any of those things. But if all you really have to do is feel some compassion for the other people, open yourself up, because ultimately this is about doing what's best for us. It's how you feel at the end of the day. It's not about whether that person, you know, liked it or didn't like it. Mm-hmm. It's the idea. And this is what what was been taught me, is that if I keep myself in a good place, then I'm more able to be of service to the next person that really needs it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And more service to myself and to those people around me. I'm not going to get burnt out. And to me, this is ultimately about self-care by doing a simple thing. And that is just opening yourself up to being mindful of others.
Yeah.
And it's, I didn't get it. And now I do. And I just needed the reminder that I can still do this, because there are things are going to happen that really make me mad.
Yeah.
But I can, but I have a choice on how I want to, I can get mad about it and rail against it, or I can let somebody know that I'm thinking about them and that I'm there for them if they're one of those people that gets affected somehow.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, like we talked about, you know, if things change in the medical field and suddenly it's more difficult for people to get mental health care.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I can get angry about it, or I could try to be there for them, help them.
Exactly.
Some people are going to some people are going to find that they don't have as many rights as they had before, whatever. Things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity to, I don't have to pick up their fight.
Yeah.
All I have to do is let them know that I'm there for them.
Yeah. Exactly. It's, you know, it's why I said, you know, just that switch in attitude can make all the world of difference to somebody, you know, because again, you know, like if, you know, going back to that Twitter example I gave before we really got into this, you know, how many of those people could have just been like, you know, oh, she's just trying to get attention, or, you know, typical Twitter, you know, drama, whatever. But they didn't. People saw that and they were immediately like, hey, this person needs help. Let's help. And you know what? In the end, they could have gotten burnt, because maybe the person just did it as a drama thing.
Attention.
Who knows?
Maybe they did.
And I'm in no way saying that. I'm just saying they could have.
Well,
you know, like I said earlier, you know, that's where that fine line is, where someone easily could manipulate versus, you know, whatever. But, you know, so many people were immediately like, let's be compassionate. And it was so awesome to see, because, you know, there's so many times, like a great example. They showed a thing on the news last night of a guy kicking a woman downstairs. Like they were at like a Subway or something. The woman's a couple steps in front of him. He just kicks her. 3 guys just walked past, saw it, just walked on by. None of them walked over and to see if she was, or 2 of them did. Maybe the third one checked, but it was like 2 people. That number should be 0, you know? Like every person who saw that should have been over there to make sure she was okay, you know? Yeah. And you can have your own opinions on what they should have done with the guy, but you know, they should have at least went over to make sure she was all right. You know, it's like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking. It's like, you know, and so many people don't want to get involved, or they'll go rant about it. You know, like I saw this guy kick this woman down the stairs and it's like, well, did you do anything about it?
Did you do anything?
Like,
yeah.
Well, no, I didn't want to get involved. It's like, well you're slightly better.
Ask if she's okay.
Yeah. Did you ask if she's okay? No. So if she was dying, you just let her lay there. You know. So, you know, just. That's it. It's just, you know, if you see a guy kick a woman down the stairs, go make sure she's okay, you know? And again, you know, what you do with him is your own choice. But, you know, I was like, geez, just that kind of thing, you know, and like, you know, with depression or something, you know, there's been so many people in my life that originally were kind of the, I don't want to say judgmental because I don't really want it to be that way, but didn't understand, didn't accept essentially when I would tell people stuff. And part of that's on me for not just, communicating well, like saying this is why this is going on, you know? But over time, as I've done that and they've become more understanding, they've become more compassionate to my cause. And at the same time, I've become more compassionate to the fact that they have held space for me, you know?
Yeah.
And that relationship has grown because both sides, first of all, communicated, but also we showed each other, you know, compassion. No one shut it down, you know, and that's a key right there is, you know, so yeah, I don't know. That's the end, I guess. I don't got any more.
Yeah. I think that was good. Yeah. Just take a look at those articles if you can, everybody. And you know, see how it hits you. I know it hit me just right. I
me
needed
too.
to read it.
And I'm not even going to like be the, you know, especially this time of year, forget it all the time. Like, you know, just like with food banks, they don't just need food at Thanksgiving and Christmas. They need food all the time, or money. Money's the best thing you can give them because they, you know, a lot of them have deals with farmers and stuff where they can get a lot of stuff for the money. You know, that kind of stuff. It's like, don't just be compassionate because it's Christmas or Easter or, Thanksgiving or whatever, you know, like make it a year-round deal. And again, it doesn't have to be money. Just change your attitude, be more aware, ask a woman if she gets kicked down the stairs, make sure she's okay. I mean, I don't think that's too much to ask, you know, like that was what made me maddest about it. It wasn't the guy kicking her that made me the maddest. It was that no one really was like, what is going on here? You know? So don't be those people, you know, be someone who goes and finds out, you know, and I mean, kind of, you know, even make sure he doesn't follow up with more or something, you know, whatever. So yeah, I think it was a good talk there, sir.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for letting me bring it up.
Yeah, good topic. When you sent that to us, me and Jen both were definitely on board for that. So it's too bad she couldn't be here tonight to be part of it, but I'm sure she'll appreciate it.
We're used to carrying her, you know.
So true. So true. No, I'm kidding.
I'm holding a
we're judging her
space for her.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're judging her right now. Yeah.
Such humility.
Yeah, I know. Yep. Boy, we're the best. The best. Oh man. So, you got anything else or?
No,
No?
I'm good.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. So we're right about at our time. Crazy, huh? So as Jen usually says, you know, if you want to continue the conversation, you can check our website out at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. Or you can email the show at thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com. You can find Jen on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life, and that's Jen with a G. Henno, how about you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Henno. Find me on Facebook, Henno Heiter. I'm always happy to hear from someone. Come join our, we had somebody, it was cool. I said, so-and-so wants to join the Crazy Life group on Facebook. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I will allow this.
Yeah. It was funny.
It was really neat.
I was posting a new episode of Salty Language, or posting it on Facebook, that a new episode was available, and I saw that pop up, and I was like, oh, I'll get it in a minute, And, right as I went to it, I was like, oh, all right, somebody else already did. It didn't say who did, but, I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
It was awesome. So yeah, come join us on at the Facebook group and send us a message. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, which can be found at facebook.com/groups/Crazy Life Podcast. All these links are in the show notes. Or if you ever need any of them, just hit one of us up and we can get you whatever link you need. The show Twitter, which, will tell you when new episodes are out, basically, can be found at the Crazy Life Pod. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. The other podcast I'm on, as Henno said earlier, which is not safe for work. The name of the podcast is Salty Language. Can be found on Twitter at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. What else? Oh, I almost forgot. We're on iHeartRadio now. So if you listen to stuff on iHeartRadio and you want to listen to us there, you can do that. The link for that's in the show notes, because it's like iHeartRadio, or I'm sorry, iHeart.com/show/263-the-crazy-life backspace. So, or slash. So it's like, can't be a nice simple one. They got to give us some, but anyway, so we're on iHeartRadio, which is cool, just another way for people to find us. We're also part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So go check out that. There was actually, just past, I forgot what Mark posted. Was it 3 or 4 years for the network? So,
yeah.
So that's awesome. It's a good,
I think it was like 4 years for the show and 3 years for the
that
network,
seems right.
Something like that.
Which is, very cool. If you want to, if you follow us on iTunes, we ask to please go to the reviews area and leave us a review if you would, because that helps people find us easier. And same on anything else you use. If they have a like or a share option, please do that, because, it just gives us a little more popularity on there and maybe help us reach more people. And, thanks for anybody who shares or retweets any of that kind of stuff for us, because it's very, very much appreciated. Felt like I was missing a link here. Nope. We're not, I'll remind you as always, we're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals, and the show shouldn't be taken as a replacement for therapy. If you need help, please seek out help. Get on the Facebook group, there's a page that's got a bunch of good resources for crisis hotline numbers and groups that can help you find a therapist, even if money isn't is an option or whatever. So definitely check those out. Or if you need anything like that, again, contact one of us. We can point you the right way. And then also, if you're feeling suicidal in any way, please don't act on it. As far as don't carry it out, I should say, because, we want you to act on it, but positively. Call someone in your support system. Call 911, tell them you're having a mental health emergency. If you have an insurance card, there's a good chance they've got a mental health crisis line or something. Again, we have got links over on the Facebook group if you need something. But please don't act on it. And again, even if you're planning it out in your head, like if you found yourself writing suicide notes or knowing exactly what it would say or thinking about how you would kill yourself, that's the time to alert someone. Don't wait until, you're in the process or something like that, or at the end stage. If you catch yourself doing those things, definitely let someone know. Because, we don't want to lose anybody. And, and again, as I've said the last couple weeks, reach out to somebody. It's just a good practice anyway, right? If you haven't talked to a friend
Yep.
in a while, just reach out to them. Hey, how you doing? Just check in, make sure they're doing all right. It never hurts to check in on your friends and loved ones and stuff. So, and also, as we talked about with the Twitter thing, if you see somebody on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram that's posting something along those lines, reach out to them. Like I said, I've done it a few times to people I don't even know. Just, hey, if you need somebody, I have ears,
Yeah.
or I guess in Twitter's case, eyes, but whatever. But you just never know when reaching out to somebody. It just may change their day. It may save a life. You just never know. So, if nothing else, there's your step towards being more compassionate.
Yeah. Even
Super
the fact that
easy.
you're just thinking about them. Yep.
Super easy. Just like I said, especially if it's someone you haven't talked to in a while, just, reset that bridge, between you. So, and I think that's it. So I forgot what I was going to say here. So anyway, I guess, Henno, you want to take us out here?
Yeah. Like Jen always says, keep wiggling those toes and keep breathing.